Hey everybody, Paul Dunn here, along with my good friend and business partner, Mr. Bob Mangold. Thanks for attending today. And what I want to do real quick is just tell you what we're going to do. Is today we're just going to spend some time talking about how to create effective Craigslist ads. I'll show you some examples of some garbage. I'll show you some examples of some halfway decent ones. And I'm going to just lead right off the bat and just tell you, if you are getting ready to post on Craigslist or thinking about posting on Craigslist, you actually have no competition for quality. There is competition for quantity, but not competition for quality. Isn't that right, Bob?
It's absolutely true. And, we do this all over the U.S. and Canada, so we see lots and lots of ads. We have lots of customers who submit ads to us and think they're good ads and are not.
Yeah, and so we're going to go through the class, and I call it a class. It could be a presentation, whatever you want to call it, but we're going to go through this little class on creating effective ads. And then at the end, if you have questions, that's when we will be answering those questions. So if you have a pen and paper handy, I would suggest taking some notes, because we are going through some very good information. We've created a system for how you can write your ads and write a lot of ads without a lot of effort. So anything else that I should add before we get going, Bob?
I don't think so.
Time to rock and roll. Okay, so let's get this thing going. I'm going to click the next button, and if I have any luck, I'm going to go to the next screen. Oh, look at that. So first thing I want to talk about is that ads on Craigslist are found in two different ways. People will either just browse and kind of look at titles that they see on what's at the top of Craigslist, or that they'll actually search for items. They might be searching for homes or such. So let's just take a quick example here. When they're browsing, what they're seeing is a screen just like this. And if you've ever been to Craigslist, and I'm sure all of you probably have, is that you are going to see this when you're browsing for, let's say, real estate. So you'll just see a bunch of listings. And so, if you're sitting there as the viewer looking, you've got everything in front of you. You've got everything from maybe $750,000 homes to a 2-bedroom, 1-bath place. And so you're getting everything. On the other hand, well, actually, let's back that up real quick. If you're looking through that, is there anything here that catches your attention? Bob, I'm going to use you as the guinea pig here, because I don't know how to unmute anybody on this thing.
Okay.
But anyway, is there one here that actually catches your attention? I mean, I'm seeing seller financing, tax refund.
What jumps out at me is the one with the blue boxes, almost halfway in the page, and that's about it.
Yeah, well, actually, when I'm looking through this, if I'm a home buyer looking for something specific, I don't know that I would see something unless it was horse property. And so that's a good title right there, where it talks about a custom home on large horse property. Now let's move to the next way that people search. Is they might search, and in this example I've got Anthem 4-bedroom house. And as you can see, somebody's been doing a good job of describing that they've got an Anthem 4-bedroom house for sale. It's 2,000 square feet. It's got a pool. And so the reality is if they are posting those ads and a viewer is looking for a home in Anthem that has 4 bedrooms, there's a real good chance, well, obviously this guy did show up, but there's a real good chance that he's going to get that click and potentially that phone call. So those are the two ways that people are on Craigslist in finding information. So, and again, when they do it by a search, they're finding information that's relevant to what they're looking for right then, right now. So one of the things that I bring this up for is, as we talk about writing ads, we have to write ads for both types of viewers. For those who just look at page 1 and then maybe page 2, and for those who actually do a search and will search for a specific item. I know, Bob, when you are on Craigslist, how do you look at stuff? I know you do it differently than I do.
I tend to do it by the first page. I'm looking at the first, maybe the second page, that's it.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of folks that do it that way. Here's the interesting thing about Craigslist is they have not done any research to tell us as advertisers, do people use the search more, or do they just look at page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, and just browse on along? When I'm searching, I know exactly what I want, and so I will search exactly for it. And so there you go. So we've got to make sure that we are writing for both different types of...
Just go back to that real quick, because one of the things that I notice when people do that, clearly the person doing Anthem HUD Home 4.2, 23, whatever, 100 square feet, clearly he's posting a lot. The downside to that is once I look at that ad once, I'll never look at it again. So they should have had different titles. So if I was that person, I'd start changing the title, because at some point people stop paying attention to that, going, yeah, that's just, an Anthem HUD home. I already looked at that. Where if it had different titles in there, they might keep clicking on the same thing and go, well, that might be of some interest to me.
Yeah, that's a real good point. And that's something that we will actually be talking about a little bit later in the presentation, but excellent point to bring up. And if that guy did change up his titles even just slightly, and change up his ads even just slightly by using the system that we're going to be talking about today, then he would probably get more click-throughs. And so there we go. Let's head on to the next slide here. Now, when we're talking about titles, we need to take three items into consideration. Number one, we really should have a geographic qualifier, or what I call a geo keyword. We need to have some sort of a descriptor keyword, and we need to show some sort of an awesome benefit. Now, if we go back here to look at these titles that we have here, we've got a geographic qualifier right here with Anthem. We've got something descriptive about this house, where it's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath home for sale. And then, let's see, I'm going to go back and look at my list. The awesome benefit. What is an awesome benefit? Do we see any awesome benefits here? I don't see anybody listing an awesome benefit aside from potentially HUD home, if a lot of people even know what that is. Remodeled, I don't know. Bob, do you see any awesome benefits sitting in any of these titles?
Not a one.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So
that's why Paul's comment about quantity. Hey, there's plenty of ads out there, but there are very few that anybody ever does a very good job on.
Yeah, and so what we want to do in this training today is teach you not only how to get a plethora or quantity of ads out, but to make sure that you've got quality as well, because the quality gets the clicks. So again, the killer title, you need to have some sort of a geo keyword, a descriptor keyword in the title, and some sort of an awesome benefit. And the reason that you want the geo keywords and the descriptor in there is because Craigslist is a search engine, okay? And we did talk about that just briefly ago. So, here's a little PS. I was thinking about this when I was creating this presentation, is that people do go to Craigslist to find deals. So if we're making titles, make sure, sometimes price reduction. Something along those lines is a good item to have. I have seen ads where when people, inside of the actual ad, the very first line is something along the lines of, welcome to Craigslist. We have this deal for you today. So, just keep in mind that when folks are searching Craigslist, they're looking for deals. So,
like best HUD deal in Anthem.
Yeah, well, let's look at this one real quick. This is a potentially killer title. Anthem 4-bedroom, and then star, priced below market. So we've got the three items here. We've got a geo qualifier. We've got a descriptor, which is the 4-bedroom home. People search by both those. And then priced below market. I don't know about you, but that is a title that gets clicks. And so we could have other versions of that same title. So ultimately, when you're talking about creating Craigslist ads, it's good to have multiple titles for your ads so that you can just go in and substitute one every periodically so that it looks like you have multiple ads running. Now let's look at this other one. Phoenix government-owned 4-bedroom must sell now. Bob, are we meeting all three requirements of a killer title?
Oh, yeah. And the other thing is, folks, people know what government-owned home is more than HUD for the most part.
Yeah. Now, here's something else that people actually search for. I know we use 4-bedroom a lot in our titles. One of the most popular search terms for when people are searching for real estate is, drumroll please, Bob, you want to fill it? Tell them?
Well, foreclosure is my big one that I'm always hawking on.
Yeah, but granite countertops as well. Believe it or not, granite countertops is one of the most searched terms. So, just keep a variety of things, a variety of titles, and make sure that you are hitting all three of those important parts.
Here, let me give them the stats on that one, just because everybody thinks we're crazy. According to NAR, 14% of all searches on the word real estate or containing, real estate or homes, 14% of them contain the words granite countertops. So trust me when I tell you, folks, if NAR is telling us 14% of every real estate search contains the keyword granite countertops, if your house has granite countertops, you should have that in your titles.
Absolutely. or at least one of the titles that you have in your rotation of titles. And I see somebody just asked real quick if we are recording this, and yes, we are recording this. So we're done with the title section. Now let's move. And again, if you have any questions, write them down, hold on to them, and we will go through any kind of questions that we have at the end of this presentation here. So the next thing that we want to talk about in the Craigslist ad is the description. Now, and again, make notes of this stuff, guys. This is all good, and as I'm going to show you momentarily, is most people don't follow any kind of structure when they write Craigslist ads. The majority of your competition out there, their purpose is to just get something up. Well, we want to do more than just get something up. We want to get a lot of somethings up, and we want to get a lot of somethings that convert, that entice the clicks or entice the phone calls. So your description needs to be keyword rich. And when I'm talking about keywords, I'm thinking about geographic qualifiers, Anthem, Phoenix, Miami, wherever it is that somebody's going to be searching for your property. And again, right now this presentation is geared all towards real estate professionals. If we have anybody who's in a different industry, just raise your hand and let me know, and we'll talk about that as well. But as far as I know, everybody's in real estate, so we're going to be just leaning that direction with this. So again, keyword rich, geographic qualifiers. We want descriptors, which could be 4-bedroom homes, granite countertops, pools, foreclosures, HUD homes, government-owned property, bank-owned property, anything that people could be potentially searching for. And you've got to have those included in your description. Now, as I'll show you momentarily, is that, again, most of the ads that people write just plain suck. And so part of the reason is they just create big, long, giant paragraphs. And we don't want paragraphs. People, especially if they're skimming through Craigslist, are not going to take the time to read an entire paragraph. So what we have here is one of our rules is we like tight sentences. And what I mean by tight sentences is simply 8, 10, maybe 12-word sentences, and then move on to the next paragraph. So you don't want something that's overly long, something that's going to be yelling at somebody. Speaking of yelling at somebody, at people, Bob, I've seen a lot of ads where people use all caps. What do you think about that?
Personally, even though I know that it's basically means screaming online, let's work on the assumption that it doesn't, or that people don't realize that. But because they're all caps, it just looks like it's a conglomeration on a page. And I personally never read anything where it's all caps, not because I think they're yelling at me, simply because it's too difficult to read. And we're going to show you an example of that, and you'll be able to see. To me, it just looks like everything is just glommed together, and it's too much for me to read that. It's like, nah, don't want to do it.
Yeah, for me, it's hard to read. Being the internet geek that I am, I do feel like I'm being yelled at, and I don't want to be yelled at by somebody who is trying to market to me. So tight sentences, bullet points. Again, we like to use bullet points because people skim. Now, when we are writing bullet points, we don't like to just say, 3-bedroom house or nice air conditioner or whatever. We want to use things that are benefits, benefits that speak out to somebody, like custom designed cabinets by one of the area's premier cabinet builders or something. I don't know. I'm just kind of making that thing up there. But you do want to speak to people. You do want to use bullet points that are good benefits. Call to action.
Hey, Paul, let me just give a quick interjection here.
Yeah, go ahead.
More than half of the folks don't even have their screen showing on their computer, which means they're not paying attention. Just so you know, guys, I think when I did the call the other day, since then, we've picked up 2 more buyers on those ads that I showed you the other day. From what we did on Craigslist, that's 4 buyers in a week. So my recommendation is if you're attending this class, you might want to pay attention because we do know how to get people to call us. And Craigslist is a moneymaker. If you're not paying attention, I don't know why you're on here, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll tell you what, Craigslist is the number 1 moneymaker. It is not just the number 1 moneymaker for real estate. It's any industry that you have, whether you're a DUI attorney, a plumber, a landscaper. Well, I'm going to show you some landscaper stuff here shortly.
Well, I guess that's why they were asking you if it was recorded so they can watch it later, that they'll never go back and watch it later.
So, and here's the thing, is I'm going to move real fast. The next item that we want to make sure that your description has is a text call to action. Text pizza to 71441 or something like that for more information, for more photos, for whatever. That way you can capture people's phone number. If you don't, or you can capture their mobile phone number. And if you don't have a text service, sign up for one. We actually own Text for Your Success. That is TEXT for the number 4, yoursuccess.com. If you don't have a texting service, go check it out. The other thing that you want to have in there is testimonials. And I'm going to show you an example of what to do if you don't have any testimonials, if you're new in the business. And then the final thing you need to include in your ads is a benefit to calling you. Why in the devil should somebody call you as opposed to the next guy on the list? Because guess what? There's a lot of folks advertising on Craigslist, aren't there, Bob?
There's a ton.
So let's look at this not so awesome ad. So if you're not paying attention, pay attention for this one at least, please. This is a not so awesome ad that I pulled up off of one of the Craigslist things. It had no pictures. This is the title, Sweetwater Home in Beautiful Century, whatever. And it's just some lines of gobbledygook. If I am cruising through Craigslist looking for an ad and happen to click on this, I'm probably just going to hit that little button that says next and move on to the next one like I'm going to do right now. Now,
yeah, look at the word motivated seller, make us an offer. Do you think that would be a better title than just sitting in the ad itself?
Actually, that would be a great title.
If I was scanning through Craigslist, whether I searched or was scanning the first page, it doesn't matter. Motivated seller, make an offer on beautiful Sweetwater Home. That would get my attention.
That's a great point. And guess what? I would break that all into bullet points.
Yeah.
Bullet point number 1, newly remodeled home. Bullet point number 2, motivated sellers, make us an offer. Just keep going on and with a little bit of bullet points. So that is an easy ad to fix. And by the way, there were no pictures with that ad. Now, here's another one. And this ad also did not have any pictures with it. And I just look at this and my eyes get confused and make me go, let's move on to the next one.
What do you guys think of an ad with all caps like that? Is that easy to read to you guys, or is it complicated, or is it I'm just getting old that looks like that?
For me, I know I'm getting old, but it's hard to read. But guess what? This is another one that could be broken down into nice bullet points. It's got a kitchen island. I would say more than a kitchen island. I would say a kitchen island designed for the ultimate chef or something like that. Make it unique, make it stand out, but make it bullet points. Stop yelling and don't use all caps. Wow, this one's hard for me to read. Built-in bookshelves. So if I was a Craigslist consumer, I'm going to do this. Go to the next one. Oh, and here is my favorite one of all. I found this in Miami. And obviously this is not one of our customers, or we would never publish this ad. Actually, none of those that I just showed you are any of our customers. But this is the entire ad. It has a bunch of images, which is okay. But the entire description consists of great opportunity for investor, Kendall Condo.
Hey, by the way, how would I contact such a person? Now, I know to go to the upper left-hand corner to get their info, but 99% of the other people don't. They don't even have a phone number in there, an email address, nothing.
Yeah, and so the reason I wanted to show you those 3 ads is to give you an idea of what your competition is like. And if you just spend an hour on Craigslist this weekend, just look through and see what folks are doing, and you're going to be amazed that they're not following any of our conventions or any of our rules or any of anybody's rules for writing a Craigslist ad that converts to get calls. They just don't do it. They just want to be there, and that's it.
There's a lot of competition. You don't understand. In my market, there are a lot of people posting Craigslist ads. And the truth is, they're probably right. At the end of the day, though, there's very few that actually do it right, which allows them to stand out and get the business. So we're getting intimidated by quantity versus quality. And, hey, after all, if I'm going to do this stuff, I'm doing it because I want leads and calls. So I'm going to do it right. Now, that's just me. And apparently I'm crazy because most people don't do it that way.
Yeah, and so, I mean, Bob just hit on some real good points. Is here in Phoenix, we see it was either 2,500 ads a day or 4,500 ads a day. It's
There's 29,000 ads up right now on Phoenix, real estate for sale Phoenix.
Yeah, and if you separate that down into by broker, I'm not sure exactly what that number is, but there's a lot that go up every day. And so you have to be unique. You have to catch attention, but you do have to post a lot. But here's the other thing too, is you want people to click on your ad and you want people to pick up the darn phone and call. This one, the second line says, do not contact me.
It's like...
Next.
That's our competition.
Okay, this is awesomer. This isn't perfect, but I call it awesomer because we're doing some of the right stuff here on this one. tight sentences. Okay, so that first sentence is vintage craftsman home with clean basement, functional attic, and 2-car garage. Okay, you've got a bunch of terms there that people, if they're searching via Craigslist, are going to be able to search for this home and find. Then he's got a bunch of bullet points there. Well, actually, bullet lines. I would actually put dashes or bullet points or something in front of those to make them look a little bit better. But we've got a call or text for action, and he's also got a URL for his website. So, I mean, this guy did a pretty good job writing this ad. It's not perfect. I would improve it some, and I'll show you how shortly.
Hey, Paul, I'm going to leave a comment. I didn't even notice this before.
Yeah.
It gets to the comment we're going to give him later. If I don't answer, leave a message, please. I'll reply back as soon as I can. If I'm a motivated buyer, would I even call this guy? I wouldn't. He's telling me I'm going to get a message, and he's going to reply back as soon as I can. Tell me if you get a message, I'll return your call within an hour or something like that. But this fits into the narrative of what realtors are, which is they never answer their darn phones.
Okay, and there's something else that I want to show right here in this contact button. You guys see this show contact info? I know a lot of folks don't know how to get that, but when you're posting a Craigslist ad, there's a place for you in the upper portion of the box, upper portion of the posting screen where you put your phone number in. If you copy that phone number and paste it anywhere inside of your advertisement so that it is formatted exactly the same as you have in the telephone field, it'll show this contact box. So that's just a little thing that, believe it or not, a lot of folks just don't know. So again, this guy's doing some good stuff. Tight sentences, bullet points for more details, a call to action. He's got his URL for his house, and he's got his name down here. So people can search. If they're looking for Tim's houses, they can search by Tim even. So, and then down here we've got some key search terms. And we're going to talk a lot bit about this shortly. So the system that we use is, we call it description blocks. And the reason why is by using, you know those ABC blocks that you buy for your kids when they're tiny? They're little, Bob, you know what I'm talking about with those little building block things? Did I lose you?
Giving away our age, but yes, I do.
Yeah. Those ABC blocks that you give your kids, you can arrange them in any order that you want. So what we like to do is create our ads in those same types of fashions, so that we can create a block of content, move it around without really working at all, and just save it in a different order and have a whole brand new ad. And so the different blocks that we like to use, and there's no rhyme, there's no rule to how many of each block you have to use, but it's just good to use, these 6 key blocks. Number 1 is your name and contact block. So you want to have, obviously, a way to be contacted. Your number 2 is your USP block, your ultimate selling proposition, and we'll show you a couple of those. Then your awesome benefits block, and that's where you put your bullet points. And then if you have a secondary list of benefits, you'd break that up into a second list of bullet points. And then it's always good, especially on Craigslist, to have a testimonial block. And let me tell you why real quick, because Craigslist is full of people that, scammers, right, Bob? You see, there's a lot of scammers on Craigslist. When people search Craigslist, they're expecting somebody to be a piece of crap, or not to be legitimate, or, to be out to scam, or not to be telling the full truth. So it's very important to make sure that you have a testimonial block in your ads. And in all the ads we searched, I only saw 1. So that sets you apart right there. And then at the end,
folks, if you got a real good Yelp review, that's a good place. Check us out on Yelp. Here's my Yelp page. Take some of the testimonials off Yelp, things like that.
Yeah.
But testimonials are huge on Craigslist because people are looking for credibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I see a lot of that people just don't do is they don't put their contact information in there. And what I mean by contact, their name or the name of their company even, which absolutely blows my mind. But anyway, people don't put their phone numbers on their websites too, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. And then the final block that we want to use is the keywords block. Basically, a list of keywords. I'm going to go back real quick. Actually, we're going to talk about all these blocks in more detail, so I'm not going to go back yet. We're going to talk about the name and the contact block first. Okay, here are 2 pretty decent contact blocks. Call or text for more information, and the guy's got his name and his phone number right here. You click that little box and his phone number will pop up. Same thing, Michael Moore, Caldwell Banker. So we know who these guys are. That's good. We've got the contact box. I'd be tempted to put my business address or my website address in there as well. Let me talk real quick about URLs in Craigslist. You cannot put a clickable URL in Craigslist now anymore. It's been that way for a while. You have to put a copy paste. The other thing that you cannot do is put any kind of a URL shortener like a bit.ly or a googly or a tiny URL. Those will get nuked right away. In fact, they won't even let you start to post those. So anyway, contact block. Make a contact block. Next thing I want to talk about is your USP block. Now, the Delray Beach AC repair. Call us. We'll respond in an hour or less, guaranteed. Show contact information. I love that USP. This is actually one of our customers, and he didn't even think about USPs when he was writing his initial ads. And so what we did is we looked at his website, and the number one thing on his website was how fast they respond. And so we needed to make sure that was a USP, so that when people call him, heck, they want their air conditioner fixed right now, especially if you're down in the Miami Beach area. You want your air conditioner fixed. If it's hot and it's humid, you got to get that sucker fixed. So you want them to be out there right away. So that's a great USP. The next one here is a real estate guy here in Phoenix. It says call, show contact information for additional details, blah, 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 blah. And let us show you how to save $272 on the purchase and financing of this HUD home. That's a great USP. And so think about creating a block for your USP. Now, Bob, I'm going to give an example of a really bad USP, which I've heard before.
Yep.
Call us. We help people refinance their houses. Call me. I offer great service. I've been in business a long time. There's just horrible USPs out there. Now, if you've been selling real estate any period of time, which I'm sure all of you have, I know that you've got a good USP. Include it. Bob, I know you are like the king of USPs. Any USP that you should suggest here?
Well, that's my USP, to save $53,272 on the purchase and financing of this HUD home.
No wonder I liked it.
Yeah, so that's mine.
Yeah, so there you have it, folks. That one works too, by the way. It works
The other
very
thing
well.
that I just did, Paul, so that everybody knows, if you look in your chat or your question area, I'm not sure where it shows up for you, I just put the link to a YouTube video on there where it's Paul showing how he restructured that Delray Beach AC repair ad and what they sent to him and what he turned it into. And it's, I don't know, I forget what it is, Paul, 4, 5, 6 minutes, whatever it is. It's a great read, or it's a great watch to sit there and go through and look at it and see what somebody sent to us to post and what he ended up really posting and how he redid it. So it's a great way to learn from that. So that's the link in your chat box.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. Good point. And make sure and like that video too, by the way. So let's go on to our next slide. And now our awesome benefits block. Now this is the one that Tim had in his. And again, this is a pretty good benefits block. And all these, when I'm talking about these blocks, they're just short bits of information. You don't need to go out and create diatribes or novels. Short bits of information so that you can store it on a Word document or a text document, and you can just move them around at will and create a new ad, fast. Because, again, you want to have as many ads as you want and varieties of ads, and you don't want them to all look the same. And this is the simplest way to have a variety of ads. So, again, an awesome benefits blocks. I would put bullet points out here to make it stand out a little bit more, but really not too bad. Granite countertops, great search item. Stainless steel appliances, another great search item. But again, pimp this thing too a little bit and appeal to benefits of what these things are. He's just listing features. List the benefits of having that large kitchen. Large kitchen, great for entertaining family and friends over the holidays. Anything like that. Anything that just can resonate with people, because just features don't do it. If you're in sales, you need to turn those features into benefits, and your benefits block is where you're going to do that. Now, here's the testimonials block. And again, we try to have our folks supply us with testimonials so that we can put those in their testimonials blocks. The majority of them do include quotes from Yelp or reviews from Yelp, or even URLs from their Yelp page. But here's one for a guy who doesn't have any reviews. And this is not one of our customers. This is somebody that I just found randomly in Florida. And so he said, customers have told me that other guys do this and I do this. So that's a great way to create a testimonial block without actually having a testimonial. Just regurgitate what your customers have told you. Bob, anything you want to add to this? Because I know that you are huge with testimonials.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately for what he had, that was a good thing. But, especially if you can include their name or like, Paul D. Phoenix, even though people can still look at it and go, wow, that could be a scam or whatever. It could be an illegitimate one. As much as you can do to take and share that. Now, especially if you can use Yelp and you can use their names, just here, check out my reviews on Yelp and take a screenshot of them. That's a good way of being able to do that kind of stuff. So, but put a name in there if it's at all possible, or at least, don't put their last name in, and, put a city in there if you can, things like that. But, again, because people are hesitant on Craigslist about scams, well, guess what? Put that testimonial in there will go a long way towards helping you on Craigslist.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, perfect. You got to have a testimonial block in there. And now your keywords block is the very last thing. And again, I don't like this, the keywords to help my customers find me, all in capitals. You could put that keywords to help my customers find me is fine. And then just, this is a lawn care guy down in Florida. So, he's just putting all his keywords down there to help people search. This is actually a better one down here. And this is one that Tim Pritchett did. And it's homes for sale, North Tacoma. So he knows exactly the people that he wants to target. So if I was to go to Craigslist and search homes for sale, North Tacoma, he's probably going to come up. Homes for sale, Proctor District, Tacoma, North Tacoma Craftsman Homes. So again, use your keywords and don't be afraid to put too many of them in there. I know that if you're stuffing a lot of keywords in something on Google, not so good, but Craigslist is a little bit different. So go ahead and don't be afraid to put your keywords in there. Just comma separate them, comma space. And if I was this guy up here, the Miami guy, or actually this is Port Orchard, Paulsbo. Oh, this is a guy up in Seattle. Okay. I would put maybe Bremerton Lawn Maintenance, Port Orchard Lawn Maintenance, Silverdale trimming, or anything that's related to his industry. Down here for this one, homes for sale North Tacoma, I might put North Tacoma 4-bedroom home or something like that. Just spice it up, a little more keywords, a little more being able to get found for those search terms. So now here's how I want to kind of illustrate the whole blocks system to you. Let's say that this is one ad. Maybe I'll put our testimonial up at the top, testimonial block, USP block, benefits block, then our contact block, then our keywords block. And again, each one of these I have saved in a text block in a Word document so that I can just move them around. So it makes it very easy for me to make a new ad by just writing the different items of the ad. Okay. In fact, you may have a Word document dedicated to nothing but blocks of testimonials, one that's just blocks of USPs, one that's blocks of benefits, blocks of contacts, and so on, so that you can drag and drop to create as many ads as you want. And so just to show you how this works, this is ad number 1. And I can make ad number 2, benefits, contact, testimonials, USP, and the keywords. I would always suggest keeping the keywords at the very bottom. And as far as contact, you can have contact in multiple places. And you don't just have to use 5 blocks. You can take and use multiple blocks. You can have 10 if you want. So again, be creative, and you can use the block system to create as many darn ads as you want. And here's where you can take it a step further. Is if you create multiple titles for your ads instead of just having one title, Beautiful Craftsman Home in Maple Valley, Washington, you can have different versions of that title, and with the same block system have different ads. So that's the secret to creating a ton of different ads. Pretty easily too, by the way.
And folks, I see your questions. I'll save them till the end.
Okay. Photos. Now, when we were looking at some of the original ads here at the beginning of this little presentation training series, we noticed that some of those ads just didn't have photos. Well, you got to have photos. People like to look at photos. And by the way, some people don't search by the lines. they don't set their browser to actually just show the text lines like we saw in slide number 1 or 2 of this presentation. They will actually look at the photo thumbnails. So the more high quality photos you have, the more likelihood that you are actually going to entice that click.
And you can actually search for only, homes with photos. I mean, that is a Craigslist option. I only want to see homes with photos.
That is true. I forgot all about that. Now, again, I'm just going to summarize this up real quick. Variety of ads. Use my block system for creating multiple ads. And then use multiple titles to turn those multiplicity of ads into just a ton of different ads, okay? And it's real easy to do. I've shown you the system that I use and how I do it, how we get results from that. And it's basically tons of blocks, tons of titles, mix and match.
That guy who's posting those Anthem 4-bedroom HUD homes with the same title, honestly, he's wasting a ton of his time, a ton of his effort, and he's not getting anywhere near as many clicks as what he should be getting, simply because he didn't take an extra couple minutes and vary up those titles.
Yeah, even just the titles.
He's not going to get anywhere near as many clicks because people would only click that house one time, then they look at all those other ads and go, I can skip those. That's the same house.
No,
that makes no sense from a strategic standpoint to do that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, they don't want to get involved in copying and pasting a lot of different ads, and so they just want to do one ad. Well, if you're going to be, that kind of marketer, at least use a lot of different titles. But, if you're using just one ad, give it up. Make multiple versions. It just works so much better. Because we know Craigslist works. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The guys that are making money in every office are using Craigslist. And those that don't think Craigslist works are typically just using one ad, one title. And they're just trying to slam it up a bunch of different times. That doesn't work. So we want multiple ads, multiple titles. And here, post often. Post a lot. Vary your posting times. Don't just post in the morning or the evening or the middle of the night. Post all day long. At least optimally, you should be posting all day long. Now, I know that does require a commitment or time, but the reality is you've got to be natural. You've got to appear like you're just a person out there posting. And to make things work, you want to be posting your 15 ads or whatever, however many ads you're posting, and doing it every day. So post a lot, vary your posting times, be natural, and please post every single day. Now, talking about PVAs, because I know that one of the questions in here is, well, how many ads can I post? How many emails? Blah blah blah, all this stuff. I haven't looked at the questions yet, but I know that those are in there. So let's just go over the semantics of the Craigslist ad posting. One email account is good for posting 3 advertisements a day. Can you do more? Well, sure, you can do as many as you want. You can try 5, 10, 15, whatever a day out of one account. But at some point in time, that account is going to get banned and it's going to get shut down. So what we've found, and what a lot of other folks who use Craigslist a lot have found, is that you're safe if you're posting 3 ads a day from one email account. And at some point in time, your ads will have to be verified by telephone. So in other words, it could be the first ad that email account posts or the third ad that email account posts. It's going to get an email that says this account needs phone verification. So you just have to have one phone number to verify that with. But keep in mind, folks, that every phone number has to be tied to an account, and each phone number is tied to that account for 90 days. So you can't use the same phone number for multiple accounts. So, we have our systems in place so that we can verify hundreds of accounts a day with hundreds of different phone numbers. And no, Google Voice does not work for that. Any kind of voice over internet does not work. Now, okay, this is really important too, is when your email account visits Craigslist. Actually, let me back up. Anytime you visit a website or Craigslist in particular, they're going to remember your IP address. Your IP address is the unique address your computer has. It's like a thumbprint or fingerprint for your computer at that particular point when it's visiting that website. And so Craigslist will record that, and it'll also record that email address. So if you're using email account number 1 and IP address number 1 and connecting to Craigslist, you're fine. Now, if you're using email number 1 and connecting with IP address number 2, Craigslist is not going to like that. You'll get away with it for a little while, but if you mix and match IP addresses for too long, all those IP addresses and email accounts will get banned and shut down. So one of the things that we suggest doing is do not share IPs with multiple email addresses. One IP to one email address. So you do need to create some sort of an IP management system if you're going to go on the process of posting multiple ads. And you can do this all manually. You can do it on your own. It's very time consuming. We do have a solution, and that's what we do. So anything, Bob, you want to add to this process right here?
No, just know that if you're going to post 2 to 3 ads a day, you don't need to worry about any of that. But in most markets, posting 2 to 3 ads a day and then not reposting is not is probably not a good use of your time, because at that point you're probably not showing up, especially if you're in bigger markets. But just a process you just have to learn, and then once you learn it, it's a system that goes through. But more than 3 ads a day, you'll need to know what IPs are and things of that nature, and you'll have to have a solution for multiple phone numbers and things like that. But if you're just going to do 3 ads a day, then don't sweat it. It's easy.
Yeah, and we find that it's anything less than 15 ads a day is kind of wasting time. So it's good to be posting at least 15 ads a day. And let's see, there's something else I wanted to add right there. Oh, and something else I wanted to add too is that once an ad is posted, after 48 hours, you can renew it inside of Craigslist. Okay, so one of the things that you need to do is make sure that email address is accounted to its specific proxy IP number and renews that ad. So you can post that ad again and renew it at the same time. So basically, you can get away with 6 ads on those particular days. Hopefully that wasn't confusing, but...
and I do see all the questions on this stuff, so I know that it is, so I'll get to them, but go through it, and some of it will get answered as he goes through this stuff too.
So speaking of IPs, how do you get a lot of IPs? Well, there's different ways to get IPs, and that's by using different types of proxies. Now, what you'll find out if you go out and do a search for proxies, you'll find lots of public proxies, but public proxies means one thing. It means that they're being shared by a lot of people, so they're probably burned out, and Craigslist knows that those are proxies, and they're not going to let you post with them. And if you do get through with them a few times, it's not going to be for very often. Premium proxy, on the other hand, is one step above, but it's still shared by a lot of people. So we could have multiple people posting to Craigslist with that same proxy, even though it's not being shared by the general public. People are actually paying for these, so it's less people are using it, but it's going to have more than just you using it to post to Craigslist. So we want to avoid those. Virtual private networks. Now that's an interesting thought. The only problem with the virtual private network is it's impossible, at least with my knowledge, to tie and connect one exact IP to one exact email. So that falls apart. And the next thing that people do, and I know a lot of people out there will rotate proxies, and they just have something like Hide My Ass installed, and that is a piece of software, and we've used it in the past. That used to work great, but then about maybe 6 months ago, Craigslist started getting smart, and they realized that people are using Hide My Ass to rotate their proxies. And so at that point in time, it became very important to be able to connect one email with one specific proxy. Because if you're rotating proxies, it means you're having one email using 3, 4, 5, 10 different IP addresses, or a different IP address every time it logs in. And so that looks suspicious in the eyes of Craigslist. Now, the winner in how we do stuff is we create private proxies. That means we go buy ourselves servers, and we buy ourselves IP addresses, and we create, using a script that I've created, private proxies. So we are the only one, that email address is the only one in the world to use that IP address, and those stick. So we don't ever have issues with IPs. Now, between every visit to Craigslist, you need to clean your cache, clean your cookies, and clean your local data. So let me back up real quick here, where we talked about tying one email account to one specific IP address. As we mentioned earlier, Craigslist records that information. So even if you do change it up and use a new email or the new IP, Craigslist still remembers who you are. So you need to clean your browser's cache, your browser's cookies, and your local data between every visit. And there's plugins out there that you can get for Google Chrome, like Click to Clean or something, that'll do that for you. So that's important, that you need to be able to...
Well, they have to do that even if they're posting 3 ads a day, right?
If they're posting 3 ads a day, they're just doing it from one email account, so they don't need to worry about anything.
Okay.
Yeah, but if the second they start to use a second account, they need to be
Right.
doing this stuff. The cache, the cookies, and the local data. This is all stuff that's remembered inside of your browser. Now, where most folks get it wrong is they forget local data. Okay? They'll clear their cache and their cookies, but they don't even have a clue how or what local data is. Now, local data is actual data that's stored locally on your machine that needs to be cleared. And so, like the Chrome plugin, click to clean will clear that for you. So if you want to manually do this process yourself, do that. You've got to do it. And you got to do it between every single visit to Craigslist. I'm going to go to the next thing here. So, is Craigslist haunted? We've all heard of ghosting. And what ghosting is when you can see your ad, but nobody in the world can. And that is a sign of a bad email account, phone verified account, or an IP that's been blocked or banned by Craigslist, or just a bad proxy. So in other words, if you have an IP that's a private, or not a private, but a virtual private network, or something that's being shared by other people that's been posting to Craigslist as well, there's a good chance that at some point in time that any ad submitted by that IP is going to be ghosted. That means you can go there and you can search it and you'll see it. But remember, Craigslist remembers your IP. They're going to serve up your ads.
Hey, Paul, the other thing I missed when we were at PVAs is a lot of times, you can go to Fiverr and get PVAs. Just trust us, they don't ever work. You might get one ad up and that's about it. They do not work. So we used to think that was a good resource. It's not. You have to set up your own PVAs on your own IP and et cetera. So there's a lot of places that'll tell you, oh no, we create great PVAs. I will just tell you, we've tested every single one of them and spent a ton of money, and not a piece of them are worth the paper they're written on.
Yeah, there is a process to creating PVAs, phone verified accounts. It starts with creating a Gmail, and then just starting, to tie that to an IP address, and then start to post in ads. And then once you've posted a few ads, to verify that account with a local phone number. You don't want to use a 520 area code phone number for something that you're posting over and over again up in a 425 area code place. And one of the reasons that what Bob mentioned is buying phone verified accounts from a seller is the fact that many of those are created overseas, and the phone numbers that they verify with are throwaways, or they're just bad phone numbers, or voice over internet protocol phone numbers. They just don't work. And so Craigslist catches on very fast. You'll find yourself getting very discouraged if you are using PVAs purchased from Fiverr. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go buy emails from Fiverr. You can buy emails and then turn them into a PVA yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But buying a PVA from Fiverr or anyplace else is generally not a good idea. So we got ghosting. So let's move on to the next thing here real quick, and let's talk about flagging. Okay, there's 3 types of flagging. And before I actually discuss these, I want to tell you what Craigslist actually is. Craigslist is a self-governed community. And it's governed by the people who post. And so your competition is deciding whether or not you should be allowed to post. So anyway, there's a few different ways that Craigslist flags. Automatically by Craigslist, so the instant you try to submit your ad, within a couple minutes, it's flagged and removed. That happens if you have a bad PVA, or are using an IP address with multiple PVAs, or just have a bad IP. So that's easy to avoid. Easy to avoid automatic flagging. Just make sure you're tying one email address to one IP and you're good. Okay, the other way that people will that you can get flagged is by automated bots, automated software. Believe it or not, people actually sell software that will search for key search terms and flag everybody that has that search term in the title or maybe the body or something. And believe it or not, a lot of people actually do this. And the way to do that is having a variety of ads. You've got to have a variety of ads and a multitude of ads. We'll find that, we have some of our customers, they only have maybe 5% of their ads get flagged by bots. The others maybe have 10%. But it just depends on what, who is in your community. Which brings us to the last one, which is the crazy people in the community who just freaking don't like you. And they want your ads off because they are afraid of your competition. So those are guys that sit around the computer all day, or maybe they have an assistant, or somebody who's looking for your ads and flagging them just to get them removed a bunch of times. They will use proxies to sign into Craigslist or to view Craigslist with a different IP address. They'll clear their cache, they'll clear their cookies, they'll clear their local data, and then they'll flag your ads till they're removed.
Shoot, Paul, you can go on Fiverr and search people who will flag Craigslist ads for you.
So the whole point of sharing this with you is that I want you to realize that if you just follow the rules that we've presented to you, you can avoid a lot of this stuff. I mean, are you going to get flagged? Yeah, you'll still get flagged. People flag just because they like to flag. But if you follow the rules we present, create different types of ads using different building blocks, different titles, lots of images, and you create something unique and you put it out there and you get a lot of them out there, you're going to be just fine. You will get business from Craigslist and you don't have to worry about flagging.
Hey, Paul, I'm going to brag a quick second for that. We've also patented a way to prevent the bots from being able to flag our ads.
Yeah.
And we've got the patent on that.
So yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up, but that is absolutely true.
You're too shy. I'm not.
Okay, so avoid flagging. High quality PVAs, high quality IPs. Use a private proxy if at all possible. Post a variety of your ads using a variety of titles and a variety of our building blocks, and post often. If you follow these rules, you're going to be fine. Okay. So, but here's the number one most important thing, which absolutely blows my mind. Answer the dang phone when people call.
Just like we showed you in that ad. Hey, leave a message. I'll call you back as soon as I can. One of our pet peeves, we work with a lot of real estate agents across the world. We've got clients in the U.S., Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Man, I will tell you, probably less than 2% of them ever actually answer their phone when you call them. So if you're going to spend all this time and effort to take and generate leads, man, answer the phone when people call. It's just our pet peeve, so we had to put it in there.
Yeah, let me add this to there too. Yesterday, I just did a little bit of test. Actually, it was yesterday. I did a little bit of test. I just picked 10 random phones or 10 random real estate ads, and I called every one of the agents. You know how many I had actually answer the telephone?
I'm going to say none.
None. I left a voicemail message telling him I was interested and having him to call me back, and one actually called back. And you know what she said? Why she didn't answer the phone? I didn't recognize the phone number.
Because heck, people never relocate from one area to another, and as soon as I move, I certainly go get a new phone number and a new area code and all that. It's just crazy, folks. So that has nothing to do with Craigslist. It's our free whine at you. Man, answer the phone. You spend time and effort to generate leads. Answer the darn phone. Yeah,
and I know that everybody on this call answers the phone, so I'm not worried about that. But again, it's your competition out there. They don't answer the phone, guys. And if you don't believe me, run that test yourself, and you'll be amazed. They don't answer the phone. And if you're going to put all this effort to posting, say, 15 ads a day, writing your ads, making the building blocks, making the titles, getting those out there, getting the IPs, the PVAs, doing all this work, answer the phone. It turns into money. So here's the plan. Run 15 ads a day, do it every day with a minimum of 5 PVAs and a minimum of 5 private proxies. Again, the more the merrier, but this is the golden plan. If you follow this rule, you have it made.
And repost the ads every 48 hours.
Yeah. And so if you're doing that, you're technically posting 30 ads a day. So, which brings us to the little promotional part of the presentation here. And I know that everybody always expects this, and this is why people use us, is we have servers already. If we don't, we go buy them. We have private proxies. We've got private proxies in every major city in the country. We have more PVAs than you could possibly imagine, and these are already phone verified. They've already posted ads on Craigslist. They've already been approved. They're already tied to an IP. We have bandwidth, and we have the systems in place. It's easy for us to take the blocks and the titles and to do 15, 20, 25 ads a day. So if you're inclined to do this yourself, that's great. God bless you. If you want to push the easy button, let us do it for you. And then you can head on over to classifiedpostingpros.com. For $2.99 a month, we'll post 15 ads a day. We'll repost those as well. Just make sure that you scroll all the way down and push the button that says CL Special. If you don't, you're going to be paying $2,000 a month for this package.
All right, so let me do the questions. What's a USP? And feel free, if you got questions in there, you're writing them down on a pad of paper, go ahead and punch them in now. What's a USP? USP is unique selling proposition. So here's how I explain that, Celine. Why is it that I would hire you instead of any other realtor in your market, including a family member? What is it that makes you different? What is it that makes you special? So, for example, my USP was, when you buy a home through me, if I can't show you how to save a minimum of $53,272 in payments and finance, or payments and interest, I will take and rebate your entire commission back to you at the close of escrow. My lender will do your loan at what's called par rate. It's the lowest rate you could get, and he will pay your closing costs in cash out of his own pocket. Based on that, would you want to sit down and show you how that works? That was my USP. Different way of saying that. I could show you how to have your house paid off, including not only your house, but all your debt, your cars, your credit cards, everything, in 10 years or less, with the same payment that any other real estate agent is going to have you spend for the same house. Based on that, would you rather have the house paid off in 30 years, or would you rather have all your debt gone in 10 years? Take about 30 to 45 minutes for me to sit down and put a plan like that together for you. Which would you prefer? That's a USP. So pretty good ones, right? You can put a comment in there, go, yeah, that is killer.
Yeah, hey, if anybody out there has a killer USP, share it in the box. Let's share it, guys.
Yep.
Here's one that a very, very simple USP that a friend of mine in the mortgage business had that, boy, I haven't done mortgages in a long time, but when I was doing them, his thing that he put in every ad, I will answer the phone. And he says a lot of people called him just because of that.
Exactly. Is there any way to prospect for buyers without a home for sale? The answer is
yes.
No.
No?
You could try and game the system a little bit, but every ad that goes into Craigslist now requires a home address. Now, you could put your property in, or I'm sorry, your office address in there, but believe it or not, Craigslist has some algorithm where they go and pull that, and if it shows up as an office, they yank it. You could try and trick the system and put your office address and upload what would be called a graphic ad, a thing that says, here, visit my website and get a free list of foreclosures. You can try that, but I will tell you, in a fairly quick order, Craigslist will catch on to that, and then they ban your IPs, your accounts, and all that other stuff.
Hey, so, Bob, let me interrupt that real quick.
Not really.
We've got a guy in Orlando, Florida, a real estate agent down there, and one of the things that he does is he does a lot of advertising for builders. And so he puts the street without the number. And apparently that's working just fine for him.
Really? Okay, yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's the first one I've seen do that successfully, but he's being successful with it.
Yep. So, some of it we tell everybody to try everything. So,
what? Let me add that real quick. Is while we are a marketing company, we test. And, I mean, there's no written rule for what's 100% right and 100% wrong. Every market does have its little nuances. And test one way, test another. Whichever gives you the best response, go with that one, make that your control, and then test something else.
Yep. It's the only way Technically, you can get flagged for having your URL in there. But the reality of it is there are just hundreds and hundreds of cities where we see agents and businesses putting their URLs in. And as long as a competitor is not flagging you, if you look at Craigslist terms of service, they'll tell you that it violates their terms of service, but it goes in there. So unless people flag you, it's not a big deal. So my answer is keep doing it until you start getting flagged for it. It's got to be a copy and paste. It's the only way to do it. But, hey, do it until they flag you.
Yeah, and again, if we're thinking about using the building block system that we've shown you here today, making a new ad or making an ad that can get around that kind of stuff is so simple, it's ridiculous. So use the building block system. Which
goes into Celine's next question, so post the same ad a few times a day. I would say technically not the same ad, Celine. Just use the building block system. It's the same house, but certainly change up the title, change up the building blocks, and just move it around so when people click on it, they don't go, oh, I already looked at that house so quick. They got to read a little bit to do that.
Well,
the answer is yes. Post ads multiple times a day.
Let me kind of talk about how we do that. Is one of the things that allows you to post. Again, we have really studied Craigslist. We follow the terms of service. We know exactly what you can do and what you can't do. What is a unique ad? What is not a unique ad? And so while the lines might be thin in some places, we know what those lines are. And so we've developed systems to kind of leverage everything in our customers' favor. And so one of the things that we do is we have the ability to post multiple titles, to post multiple ads with multiple building block variations, and then as well as the images. We post a variety of images, and so the images that are posted in one ad might not be the same in ad number 2. So, and again, that's another great way to mix it up, is to post different images. Have a different image be a featured image every time. So that's part of what we do, is mix it up so that everything is unique every single time. And
you might as well take a minute and explain to them what you do when we work with somebody on helping them create those ads. So kind of explain your system.
As far as
when you get it in, are we going to take and help them go through and create the building block and make sure that they're good ads, or are we just, hey, leave it up to you?
No, in the past we've left it up to the customers, but the reality is not only do we want customers, but we want customers that have success and are getting calls, because if you spend money one month, you'll spend money the next month, and then so on. And so what happens is when you provide the information, I'll review it. I actually am the one that reviews everything, and if I have any questions, I'll pick up the telephone and call you, and we will go over every single one of the building blocks, create the USPs, create the keyword list, create the contacts, create the bullet points, everything that we need to do to be able to create your building blocks for a good ad.
Okay, so next question. How do you know if your IP has been banned or ghosted? Well, banned is real simple.
If you get banned,
your ads are flagged as soon as you put them up.
No, you won't even get that far. What you'll do is you'll get a message right there when you try to post. It says your IP is banned.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, they do. Ghosted is a little bit harder in it because it appears to you. So the easiest way that you can check is open your Google Chrome browser, go to your little settings area, and open what's called an incognito window. And then go into Craigslist and search for your ads. If they don't show up, you've been ghosted.
That doesn't work every time. That doesn't work. That does not work every time.
No, it does not.
And the reason it
ghosted is much harder.
Yeah, the only time that'll work is if you're on a DSL, because your DSL will change your IP address every time. If you're on Comcast or have a cable provider that you're getting access to high-speed internet through, that the incognito won't show you anything different because you're using the same IP address.
Yeah,
the only way to tell is to use a different IP address.
Go to a different place with a different IP, things like that. But ghosting is much harder to find happen. But what I will tell you is if you have the right protocol, meaning you have your own private proxies and your own server and you tie everything together like Paul outlined, you don't get ghosted. Paul, have we ever been ghosted that we know of?
We've never been ghosted.
So if you follow that protocol, folks, that works very, very well. You're not going to get instantly flagged from Craigslist. It doesn't mean the competitors can't flag you, but you're not going to get instantly flagged from Craigslist, and you're not going to get ghosted. So if you follow that protocol where you have your own IP, your own proxies, you don't post more than 3, and you tie your account to your proxies, you're not going to have that headache. Jared, we still do support it. We just found that most agents don't use it, and that's a shame. So we just created a process where we just start posting ads for people. Any other questions, folks? Punch them in. Was this helpful? Does it take some of the fear out? We're honestly surprised how many agents really aren't familiar with Craigslist or were just afraid of it, and there certainly is work and some knowledge involved in it. There's no question. But the payoff, guys, is just incredible. I mean, like I said, 4 buyers now, serious buyers. Actually, with wholesale homes, they were investors buying properties. 4 buyers in a week. That's not playing around. And believe me, we didn't post very much for that. So it's a great tool. It does require learning and knowledge and time and effort, but it is a great, great, great resource for business. The other thing in terms of listings, when you tell somebody, hey, I'm going to advertise your house every single day, or let's say I'm going to post their ad twice a day or 3 times a day on Craigslist, when you go into somebody's house and you tell them in a listing presentation that I'm going to do that, that becomes a big deal for you and one more tool in your arsenal. Because, again, I travel. Paul doesn't travel. I get to be the one who goes out and speaks, and we do a lot of work with...
Bob's got the sexy part of the job.
Marketing with mortgage companies and putting mortgage companies and realtors together. And in all honesty, we find that most people don't, they have the same things in their listing presentations. They buy the same stuff from the same guys, and they got an 89-point listing presentation, and there's 15 different agents in your market that spend that kind of money to do that. There's nothing wrong with those, but you still have to have things that are unique and different, and this is a big one. And hey, by the way, it's a way to generate leads. Number 2 is for FSBOs. My goodness, if they're just dead on not willing to list right now, why not take and market their property and, just have an agreement signed with them that, hey, if I sell it, you're going to pay me a commission, and go ahead and advertise it for them, because, shoot, you can generate leads even if you never list the property. So, to me, it's a no-brainer. We actually teach mortgage people how to go out and do that, and, their success ratio with it is like 99%, because nobody ever argues about it. They go, oh, so you're willing to do this? You're willing to market my house? That's awesome. And if you bring them a buyer, you get a 3% commission. If you don't, well, you got leads. If they don't buy that house, guess what? You got a buyer for another one. So there's, again, powerful tool in different ways. So, any other questions? Did you guys find this helpful? Is there anything we didn't cover that you'd want to see us cover?
Oh, that's a good one.
What else should we be help us. What should we be teaching classes on to help agents understand the power of this more? Any input is wonderful. Don't be afraid.
Did I go too fast?
Did Paul go too fast? We know the technical stuff is intimidating. We do get that. We just don't know a way to not go through that. We'd love not to explain it to you, but it also impacts your results. And if you don't understand how to tie the PVAs together with an account and IP, you're going to get flagged and ghosted.
Yeah, we can even...
Unfortunately, I know for the technical people, your head's probably wanting to explode. For that, we apologize, but you have to understand it. It's just the nature of the beast. That's why we do what we do. So, any other questions? It was a lot longer than we thought, Paul. But
no,
that's okay.
I was planning on 30 minutes.
Any other topics that you guys, or subjects that you'd want to see us do a class on? Just put it in the chat box, is where that would go. No? If you have questions, guys, let me do that. If you have questions on stuff like that, let me give you the email address you can send them to. Let me type that in. Support@leadgenerationlabs.com. Okay. So I put that in. If you've got questions, you can send an email there. Oh, it's on the screen. Duh. If you want to take advantage of the thing that we put together for the $2.99, feel free to do that. And doesn't look like there's any other questions. So appreciate you being here. Hope you learned something. Hope it helped. Would encourage you to use Craigslist and get out there and do it. So I think that's it.
Okay. I am going to stop the presentation. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Okay. And
Thanks,
we
guys.
will talk to you later.
Take care. Hang on. Got one more question.
Uh-oh. Whoa.
Yep. Don't see the question. I've seen it pop up, but don't see it. Let me see if there's one more, and if not, I'll let it go. Nope. Doesn't look like it. So, all right, guys. Thanks for being here. Talk to you soon.